Welcome to the Best Kept Secrets podcast, where we share our best kept secrets about life, love, God, and everything in between. Hi guys, welcome to Best Kept Secrets podcast, where we share our best kept secrets on God, love, life, and everything in between. We hope you've been enjoying the conversations. They're a little different, and we actually, out of the episode we had with Pastor Thimba, I hope you guys have watched it or listened to it. We came up with this thing called Salvation Stories, where we have people to come on and share their stories of salvation, their journeys, the good, the bad, the ugly, what that actually looks like. We've shot maybe 2 episodes. This is our 3rd one, and I'm so excited to have this special lady here with us, share with us her salvation story and her best kept secrets. I will let you introduce yourself. I usually let my guests introduce themselves, so please tell us everything that you do and your name, and for those who don't know you.
Wow, thank you so much. It's an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Number one, and then I do many things. I've been alive for many years, so I do a lot. My name is Angie Murenga. Hey, I'm a mother. I think that's one thing I really love. I'm a mother of 1, but when she got married, now I'm a mother of 2. Soon to be a grandmother, so very important for me. I'm an author. I've written 3 books. The one is called The Real You. The other one is The Raw, which is my first autobiography, because I feel like I'll write another autobiography. I'm not done yet, and that one was really power-packed already. And then I do training, leadership training, so I've done a Purpose and Leadership Forum training manual. I'm also an executive certified leadership coach, globally certified as ICF. I'm an ordained minister, so I've been ordained twice, once as a pastor and once as an apostle. And anything else? I'm a mentor to very many people, and like I said, I do a lot of coaching as well. I do training, I do events. I host a number of events, like almost 5 a year, and I've been doing that for probably some are 12 years and 10 years, 9, 8, 7. So I've been doing that a lot. So events around women, men, family, youth, and the marketplace.
Wow, that's so power packed. Like, you actually do so many things.
Yes.
Where do you find the time?
Well, I think for me, I really believe that life is lived in seasons. So there were seasons. So there's a season when I wasn't doing all those things, or things that you were also processing and preparing.
Yeah.
But now that I'm a empty nester, I mean, my daughter left. I think when she was around 2018, I think 18 to 23, she was away. Then she came back for like 2 years. So I have a lot of time. So I think seasons is important, because when you're raising your children, you probably can't do that. Or when you have younger children or teenage children. But when you're an empty nester, the world is there. Let's go.
The
you have
world
time.
is your oyster,
Yeah. So, but I think a lot of stuff has been preparation and process, and then done over time.
Okay.
Because if I think about it, I've been in ministry, I think 18 years. And then I worked in the marketplace for 21 years. So that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of time. That's 39 years
Yeah.
of being out there doing what I do.
That's so nice. Yeah. So, we're talking about your salvation story today.
Yes.
I don't know any of it, so
Yes,
even
which
me,
is
I'm
good.
here to listen.
Good.
So tell us from the beginning, what was your first encounter with God, or when did you get saved? How did all of that happen?
Okay.
And what was your life even before
Yeah,
God?
I was going to start with the before, because the before was quite crazy. And so I don't know. First of all, I grew up going to convent schools. So there was always an element of God, but that was a Catholic background. So actually all my schools, primary school, high school, was all convent school. So you always had God, and you had to go to chapel once a week. So God was there. We knew there was God. But of course, immediately you go away, go to campus. That was it. That was the end of God.
That's the story of many of us.
Very many people. Actually, I'm even thinking of, we have to do something there. There's something, there's like a divide there when people are vukaing into that life. I think it's the independence, the freedom, you're finding yourself, finding your identity. But the funny thing with that is that I went to school in the UK, in Leeds, and when I was there, I would still go to church on Sunday. So that's amazing for me, because there were only 6 people in church.
Oh, wow.
It's winter. These 6 people are all over 60, 70. it's winter, come rain, come storm, come hail. That was so crazy. I would still go. So it reminded me, when I think about it now, when you train up a child in the way that they should go, they still keep going.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is, growing up, also going to the church, we'd enter church with my mom, and then when she goes to sit in the front, as we leave. So you can imagine, it's like crazy. Like you're even resisting church here, but when you go to another country and you're by yourself, you go to church on Sundays.
Yeah, without being asked.
And
yeah.
you're nobody supervising you, and
Yeah.
everybody is so far away. So that was the first part of that. And then, so when I got married, I had my baby. I can't remember how it happened, but maybe I'll remember. But I used to go out a lot. I used to hang a lot. That was what we did. We hung on Wednesday. Do you guys still call it hanging? I don't think
Yeah.
so.
Hanging
Are you
out,
sure?
yeah.
Okay, hanging out. Partying, clubbing.
Partying. Oh, so you mean like
partying,
partying.
like
Okay.
clubbing. Wednesday, Friday, I think Saturday, Sunday, we were always out.
How old were you at this point?
When I was partying, we started partying long time. When we were maybe 18 to 28. But this time now, when this experience happened, I think I was I'm trying to figure it out. I was either, because I got married at 28, so I'm trying to figure it out with Althea's age. Either Althea was 4, no, maybe 2, so maybe around 30, 30, 31 there. And I was in Science. Now, Science, I don't think that club still exists, but that club was dark. Actually, when I think about it, I was like, why was it so dark? It was you couldn't even see the person in front of you. So I'm partying, I'm out. I think it's a Saturday, and then it was definitely a Saturday. And then I hear this voice, and it says, "You need to go to church tomorrow. I want to start going to church tomorrow." And it's like 4 a.m. in the morning. So tomorrow is like in a few hours. But I had it very distinctly that I need to go to church tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I remember thinking, because that's how my mind thinks. I was like, first of all, what are you doing here? It's like, that's God speaking to you, but you're like, why are you here? Like, this is the wrong place.
Yeah,
you're
so
not
just
supposed
let
to be
me
here.
party.
Yeah, and why are you here? Like, why would you come here? I was very concerned, And then, so I went home, and I did go to church in the morning. But then also another thing, because of hindsight, I've had time to think about it. One of the things that motivated me to go was because even as we were taken to church, sort of, and were given that option. So this idea had been toying in my head. Like, I have to give my child the option of going to church, because it also happened for me. You just give them the foundation, then they make the choices. And she must have been around 2 years old. And everywhere I'd go to church, she would not stay. So I'd go to the church. She'd not stay in the Sunday school. But when I went to this particular church, where I now got born again, she would not get out of Sunday school.
Where did she used to go before?
It was a Catholic church. I used to go to a Catholic church. And then one day I went to, I think now it's called a Pentecostal church. It was Nairobi Chapel. And they were up near where Nairobi Primary is now. And so I went with her. So next go to church. Now, not go to this other church, go to this Pentecostal church. So I go. And now she wouldn't leave Sunday school. She loved it so much. And I think many of us make choices because of our children. So I started going to church. I was like, okay, but I was quite a mess, because I was such a mess. I mean, I can't imagine how, when you have a hangy, and I'm a smoker, I'm a drinker, so you just smell bad.
You're heavy.
Oh my God, you're just throwing off some other orders. So I always think of the people who are around me. So we started going to that church, and I went for quite a number of years, because Althea got born again when she was 4 or 5, and then it took like 11 or 10 years to get born again. And then for this, so I should continue the salvation story, that part.
Do you have any more to share from before Jesus?
Before Jesus, we were, I don't know, I think very confused people, because we had no sense of identity. We just did what we were told, went through school. But when I think about it now, even our parents were coming out of colonialism. Even them, they didn't know who they were and what they were doing, because it wasn't the way life was in the village. They were now in the city. So I think everyone was trying to find themselves. When I look back now, everybody was trying to find out themselves. So we were very confused. And maybe you took on the identity of the people that you went to school with, or the crowd that you were running with. That's the crowd. And then maybe one other thing I'd like to say is, when I look back at my life, the biggest mistake I made was relationships. If there's some people I met because I wasn't drinking before, I was in a partier. You're just going through life, through school. When you're in school, your parents are strict, so you go from school to home. We didn't use public transport, so we were dropped at school. So there was no place to mess up. But then I always feel that I met some people who I wish I'd never met, because when I met them, my life started going downhill when I think about it now. Because that's when I started drinking, I started smoking. And the funny thing is, I remember lecturing my brother and my cousin about drinking and smoking. And until today, I cannot answer the question how I crossed the divide. I was telling them, this thing is wrong, you guys should not do this. How I entered...
And you were there.
But, it's crazy. But I used to speak to them and tell them, this thing you're doing is not good. How I entered the equation even until today is a mystery. So there I was. So a lot of partying, a lot of drinking. But always, I think, when I look back now, the reason is the people that you meet. So I think people have to be very careful about the people that you meet, the people that you allow into your life, because they can take you on a path that really was not intended, but it just happens because of happenstance and because of the people that you hang around with. So that's what I would like to share. And then also maybe just, I guess, too much partying, not knowing yourself, because I think that's the whole idea with the problem with some sort of clubbing and partying without boundaries, and always going with the flow, like you don't have your own plan.
You're just
that
going.
is the problem. I don't think, and that might be controversial, I don't have a problem with people clubbing and partying, because I think it's a stage, it's a season that you have to go, it's something you have to go through. But what I would tell myself now is, have your own. Do you have a plan? You must have a plan, your own plan, and don't just go with the flow with everything that everybody's doing. Decide what works for you. Because sometimes we have very different personalities, characters, alcohol tolerance levels, and maybe sometimes you just want to be home, but you just feel like there's pressure. You just want to go because you want to fit in.
You're lonely.
But create it. It sounds crazy, but I really sense it and I feel it strongly. In all that you're doing, make sure there's a plan. And there's a plan that's your plan.
You're
that's
not just going with the flow.
You're not just going with the flow. Or life, sometimes I find like life just happens to you. There's no plan. No, what's the plan? And I remember clearly, because that's dropped in my spirit, in a place I used to work at a hotel, and I used to hate the forecasting and planning. And one day I told my boss, I really hate doing this thing. And I said, why do we have to do it? And he said, you may not achieve the plan, but you have to create a plan. Because I feel like it's important to tell somebody that you might say, I make a plan, but I don't achieve my plan. It's still important to have a plan. You must have a plan, so that you're planning your life. It may not go the way that you want, but you're moving towards something, and you're moving towards a goal, and there's something in place that's guiding you.
I like that so much. Because when I was in uni, I was also just going with the flow. I was just partying because it's what we did. I drank because it's what we did. And then at some point I was just like, do I really even want to do this anymore? So I would, like you're saying, it's a stage, and I think it happens a lot for people when they're in uni. Some people just stop doing it after uni. Some people continue doing it. I don't think I had a plan until maybe I was out of uni and I was now an adult and my parents are not financing my life anymore. Then, life hits you and you're like, okay, I need to have a plan. I need to figure out what it is I'm doing with my life now. So now you have met Jesus. So you said Althea got born again when she was 4. 5. Yours, it took 11 years of going to church with her to get born again. What was happening in the 11 years?
First when I think of it, she was growing, so she wanted to go to church. So remember now, this was a sign, because all the other Sunday schools, she'd not stay. This one, she just wanted to be there all the time. So that was good. So that's what motivated me to go to church, because to take her. So I think I was listening, when I think about it, I was listening to what they were saying. I was going to Nairobi Chapel, which was then at the place where Mamlaka, near
Mamlaka Hill
Chapel is now, yeah. So that was great, and so I was growing, I was listening, and what I now look back and see is my life started changing. So before I had an attitude, like I'd come like, was I drinking alcohol? Leave me alone. Because you know how you're producing another smell, which is quite crazy, because there's alcohol, there's that stale alcohol, you've been smoking,
cigarettes.
you've had a shower, there's perfume. The drama is excess when I think about it now. But you're standing there, you have an attitude, you're like, everyone should mind their business, face front and do what you need to do. But what happened is I started finding myself changing, and so I'd not drink on Saturday. I started finding myself not drinking on Saturday. So I think whatever they were preaching and the sermons, something was happening, some transformation was happening. So now on Friday I drink double to compensate for
not drinking on Saturday.
Understand. I don't know. There's a way we think, and sometimes I say it's Kenyan. I don't know. There's a way that we think that not everyone thinks the way we think. I think, yeah. So Friday you drink double because Saturday now you're not drinking. Then so that you can be fresh for church on Sunday. And then it just went like that. And then by the time I got born again, that 11 years, I counted that day, I think it was 11 years of going to the church. The pastor stood up and he said something. He said, there are those of you who are not getting born again because you have a number of things that you feel like you need to deal with. Like, I cannot get born again when I'm struggling with that. So smoking, drinking, partying, like how I can't get born again.
Yeah.
And he said, that's what you're saying to yourself. And he said, but that's not it. The thing is that you get born again, and then all these things that you're saying, God will begin to handle them. And I was like, oh, I never heard that before. That sounded okay. And then I think you have a conviction, because I just remember that day standing up and giving my life to Christ. And it was in April. And I didn't know what was going to happen. When I look back now, everything changed from that moment. But I didn't know. I mean, I always say there should be a loud trumpet. They say there's a trumpet in heaven, but on earth there should be a sound. Like a sound should be released, like what? Like you got born again. Like even you need to pay attention. Because I didn't understand now from that time, my life did a 360, which it's been a 360, which has been slowly turning, I guess. I can say that, yeah?
Gradual.
Yeah, gradual. But the change, because now I can trace it back. The complete shift in my life. Like I didn't even understand what I had done. I didn't understand that I had just shifted something. And you know, when you were praying earlier, you said that even if it's for one person, you see, the thing is, when one person gets saved, that's it. Now those are generations. You haven't saved one person. You have saved a generation and a lineage, which will either come from them or will be even touched by them. So this is crazy. I mean, even if one person gets saved, it is for like something else. So now when I can look back, because now I have hindsight, I'm like, wow, my life completely transformed. But I didn't know it was going to transform like that. Immediately I got born again. So remember there was this list. The only thing that the two things that didn't go on that list were, number one, I continued smoking for 3 years, and I continued drinking for 1 year.
Okay.
But that 1 year of drinking, I was really, and you know, you're convicted. When you look back now, you're like, no, I know that's grace. So it took a whole year to be delivered completely from drinking, but 3 years to stop smoking. And I keep telling people still, I was born again and still smoking, yes. Because I believe, and I better now let you talk, but I believe salvation is not a list of do's and don'ts. I hate the list and do's and don'ts. I believe salvation is about a relationship. So what happens is, because you grow in relationship with God, some of these things, they pale now. Yeah. It's like growing older. I remember I was telling you I'm 58. I'm going to be 58 in May. So nothing would remove me from my house to go party. Because what? No.
Yeah, you just don't have.
It's not about do not desire. Party. Like there's a salvation. You're saved, yes, so you don't do. No. Please. I know better. So it's a relationship, it's growth, it's what's in it. I have so many things I need to do. How is that going to affect me? Who has time to have a hangy? I have time to have a hangover tomorrow. I don't have time. I don't have time. And then I don't know whether I should tell you one day I went clubbing. So I decided, let's go to the club and see what happens. And of course, you know, people say, oh, pastors don't go to the club. Always ask them, first let me. So I go up the club. And the first people ask me, "Hey, Pastor, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "Wow, what am I doing here? What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like, see, what is the problem?"
Yeah.
Hey, guys were looking at me like I couldn't believe it. So I don't drink anymore out of choice, but also I'll tell you, if I have time, I'll tell you about my drinking stuff, because I have a theory about that as well. That I don't, maybe I'll tell you that first. I don't drink. So I stopped drinking because I used to drink too much.
Okay.
Yeah, too much. Like, you know, when you drink, people ask. I remember even like when we were in school overseas, people would ask us, "Is there a problem? Is there trauma? Did somebody die?" Like, they're thinking are you trying to what? To drown something?
Yeah.
Because this is not normal. But this is normal. This
Like
is normal Kenyan
style.
drinking.
Yeah, we just drink like this.
But guys are like, "There's something wrong. You can't drink like that." And I've not been able to answer the question. Maybe your guests, your viewers will be able to answer for me. I always ask, do Kenyans drink to get high, or do we drink to socialize? That's another story. So where was I going with that story? So I go out. So I don't. So I'll say, so I stopped
drinking
because of fear. So at some point, I felt the Holy Spirit leading me back to, you can't do something because you fear it. You can't say, "I'm not drinking because I fear." You can't. So slowly I would introduce, maybe this time I had I have a drink, a glass of Amarula or something, or a glass of wine, because I wanted it not to be out of fear. Like, I'm not drinking out of fear. And then the other thing, which may not sit well, but I don't like this thing of, you can't do because you're a pastor. Who said? I'm a human being, and I will do what I want to do when I want to do it, and I will not. I don't need to overindulge, because I already know I don't want to do that, but I don't believe in you can't do. So anyway, I went to this club. Now the thing is, why I even stopped. I went twice, but I'm telling you, I couldn't get the music out of my head. Oh my God. I was like, "Oh, I can't do that again." Jehovah, what? It was booming, and it was loud I'm trying to sleep. Oh my goodness.
But your head is like pounding.
With the music. I don't know which I am telling you. No, I can hear it.
Yeah, like the actual music.
Yes. I was like, I can't do that again. I'm trying to pray, I hear the music. I'm like, no way. We cannot compete now with my peace. My God, I want to pray, and I can't because of all this noise. So those are the things. So I think maybe I'm a bit daring or different. And also I want to try things. I want to see. And every time people would say, because I always say I went from the club to the pulpit, I mean, to sort of doing what I do for God, I didn't have a lot of the training that I find a lot of people have that says you can't do. So I'd always ask, who said? Like, I'm going to flow with the Holy Spirit and what he's saying. Yeah. And I don't want to be told what I can't do and what I can't do. So anyway, I think I was trying to explain that for me, I don't believe salvation is about a list of do's and don'ts. I believe salvation is you get into a relationship with God, and then there are just things that begin to fall off because of your relationship with him.
Yeah.
Like, if you're my friend and I know the things that you like to do and don't like to do, then that's what I'm going to do, because I'm interested in being your friend. Yeah, so I don't know if that makes sense.
I honestly love everything that you've said so far. I think there is maybe a stereotype that people think that Christianity comes with some sort of perfection. And I think that's why a lot of people feel like they can't go to Christ, because I'm not as perfect as other Christians are. Those guys may see in church, I'm not like them, and I need to work on some things first so that when I present to myself to God, I am holy, I am this. And I love what you've said about that gradual progression, because even for me, it's been a gradual thing. I have been a Christian and I have been in the club. I've been a Christian and I've drunk. I've been a Christian and I've done certain things, but it's only, just with time, I like to say I've lost taste.
Yes.
I've lost taste for certain things. I just don't like the taste of alcohol anymore. I don't like going to the club anymore. For me, it's just, it's exhausting.
Very exhausting.
I feel exhausted. Every time I would go to the club, I'd go home and I'm just like, what was all of that for? Like, no, there's just certain things I'm just like, I don't have those desires anymore, because sometimes it's a desire. So I was telling people in an episode we did a few episodes back that you can pray and you can ask God for you to lose taste for things, especially if there are things that are heavy desires for you and there are things you're struggling with. Now, for example, like the smoking thing, you can just ask God, help me lose a taste for this thing. And you'll pick up a cigarette and it will taste disgusting. And you'll just not want to do it anymore. So what happened with the smoking thing? Because you were saying there's a thing with the smoking.
Okay, so when I look at it now, I think the smoking thing was to help me make a decision. And so when God called me into full-time ministry, so I've worked in the hotel industry for 17 years, and then I was working in an FMCCG, selling a brand of coffee, which I love until today, for like 4 years. So that's where, in that 4 years is where the calling came. And I was like, okay, if you want me to serve you, these are the 3 things that you have to deal with before I serve you. I remember one was smoking, definitely. The other one was I wanted my parents to bless me. And you see, they're Catholics, charismatic Catholics, but I knew they were, how do we leave work? I'm a single mother at that point. Well, not complicated, because I'd been married, and then my husband had left, or like he says, I told him to leave, whichever one. So that was the situation that was, so I wanted my parents' support, and then I wanted him to help with Althea. He already did. I mean, he would pay school fees.
Yeah.
But you see, now I'm housing her. I have to feed her. She needs to do her hair. She needs clothing. So there's this little budget that I also take care of, that I need him now to take care of, because I'm making these steps. So those are the 3 like fleeces I gave God. I said, okay, if you want me to do this. So I always feel like the smoking thing maybe was left there, so that at that time, because God knew at that time He was going to call me to ministry, and it was going to be crazy, because you're raising a child, you're looking for money. How do you stop your career just like that and go to serve in the church? So I needed this fleece and this thing, and also smoking had become such a big problem for me. Like I could not I used to cry when I smoked. That's how bad the addiction was. That's why I also understand addiction.
Yeah.
I understand that addiction can frustrate people, but it's a real addiction, because you don't want to do it, but you're still doing it.
Yeah.
So that's where even if the people around you are frustrated, the person doing it is even more frustrated, because you're trying to say, it's not like you don't know, like, I don't want to do this anymore, but it's like you cannot help it. And so I knew smoking, I tried to fast, I tried to pray, I'd said everything that I could do to get this thing away. And even after I'd finished smoking, I'd cry, or I'm smoking, I'm crying, because I'm like, why am I still doing this thing? And so I said, okay, great, now this is good. So you want me to go to ministry? Good. Smoking out, then we can go into ministry. Do you know that was like February, and by June I stopped smoking. And I'm telling you, one of the things, Sharon, that even now I'm even getting emotional about it, because if there's something I knew I cannot stop doing, it is to stop smoking. It's like it was impossible. So when it happened for me, it was like crazy. It was so like unbelievable. I'm shocked that I'm shocked, surprised, I don't know, that I don't smoke. It's just because it looked like something, it was an impossible in my life. So anybody even out there who's struggling with something that looks impossible, it can happen, and you can stop.
How did it just stop?
I actually went to, I was at a retreat, a prayer retreat, a school of prayer retreat, because I did school of prayer. I think it's called Ombi now, like 7 times. I did it once, and then I served in it like 6 times, just facilitating and helping. And I was actually looking for a place to go and smoke. Can you imagine? I was like, Pastor Angie, you have so much time. I wasn't friend Pastor Angie at that time, but I was like, guy, I'm looking for somewhere to go and smoke. I have my cigarettes and my lighter. And I'm thinking, people are praying. This is a prayer retreat. Everyone knows that a prayer retreat. So I'm trying to figure out which corner am I going to go and smoke. And then I remember, I think it was Pastor Simon Bevy and Pastor Linda. They called me. They called my name, and they came and they prayed for me. And what I felt was like that, what they call like a deliverance, like something left, and that was the end of smoking. I mean, even when I went to see my doctor, because he had told me to stop, and he asked me, should I write that? He asked me what happened, I said, that's what happened. He said, should I write that? I said, but what else could you possibly write? That's exactly what happened. Yeah, so that's how it happened.
And you never desired it after that?
For 7 days, there's a place I used to smoke in my house. So it was like a balcony. But for 7 days, I knew I couldn't open that door. Don't ask me why, I don't know. I could not. I knew if I open that door and walk out onto that balcony, it's done. But for 7, and I kept hearing the number 7 days. And 7 days, that was it, gone completely. And then also, I think I surrendered both my cigarettes and my lighter to the pastor lady, because I'd never done that before. You see, when people surrender, you surrender the cigarettes, but there are cigarettes everywhere. This one, I surrendered even the lighter. I told her, have it. I knew somehow
You're
that it
done.
was done. Yeah. So that's how that went.
Yeah, that's so nice. That's so powerful, actually.
Thank you.
Because I do know there are people watching and there are things that they're struggling with and it feels impossible. So that's such a great testimony. So now this is post the 11 years. You stood up. You said the prayer. You got born again. And, there are some gradual things that have been happening. There are some things you've bargained with God and you've told him, God, I need you to work on these things. So how many years has that been between now and then?
So
You said
20.
you've had...
So 2004 is when I got born again. So it's
Okay,
actually
20 years.
But then I've been in ministry 18 years.
Yeah.
Because in now 2006 December I quit my job and went into full-time ministry starting 2007, and I've been in full-time ministry since then.
So, okay, so those 2 years are the years you are bargaining with God about things like you want him to work on. And
yes, but the third year now, the year for, because the 2006, now when he said I want you to go into ministry, I said I will not go unless
these things
and
are
one
done.
of them was smoking. If I'm smoking, well, I'm not going into ministry.
Yeah. Okay, so how have the last 18 years been?
Wow. Oh gosh, Sharon, you need to ask me specific questions. I don't know. It's been good. It's been a journey of growth, I think. A journey of discovering. We'll talk about discovering self. I think we're always evolving. It's been a journey of evolving. I've really evolved. And if there's one thing I look back now and I say, oh my goodness, sometimes I wish that God would, now I could become 25 again with the knowledge that I have. I'd have to have the knowledge that I have. And every time I say that, he tells me, but go tell them. Like, find 25-year-olds and tell them. Because you can't go back.
Yeah.
But now you have this knowledge that you need to tell them. So I think the last 18 years has been a lot of growth, a lot of evolving, a lot of finding myself and finding my identity, helping other people find their purpose. Equipping people, so a lot of Ephesians 4, like equipping people, training for the work for everybody to do their work and to execute it well. That's what I would say. And then writing, so a lot of writing as well. Running the Purpose and Leadership Forum, which I've now I ran it into 30 seasons just before COVID, and then now I've done 2 more seasons, physical classes. I'm working on doing something PLF Global so that I can do it on Zoom. And then I'm reworking the manual because I wrote it about 10 years ago, the Purpose and Leadership Forum training manual. I'm reworking it, and then I'll do some online videos because I did online but too big when I was finishing. So now I know people have a shorter attention span, so I want to do that as well. So that's it. And raising my child, because raising Althea was also important for me, and I got to raise her because I was in a full-time ministry. I got to spend a lot of time with her because before that I used to work in the hotel industry. Before the FMCG, I used to work in the hotel industry. The shifts, the time, it was crazy. Yeah, so I think that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
Did your divorce affect your relationship with God in any way? Were you ever angry with God? Were you...
Definitely, but I wasn't born again when I...
Oh, you weren't?
No, so when the separation happened, first of all, I went into a drunken stupor for like 2 years.
Oh.
Completely. But it's amazing how still responsible. So I'd put Althea to bed and then go out and drink. But she wouldn't know that I'm not there, because I've had a very close relationship with her, because I wanted to do that because I didn't have a very great relationship with my own mom. So it's something that I had purpose to do. So yeah, so then after the 2 years is when I was like, now when I drank myself like crazy silly, then you're like, you sit and you say, this cannot continue, like this cannot be my life. So those are the things that started changing my life, because I was 2001 and to 2001 to 3. So then now the next year I also got born again. So change began to happen.
Oh, this is now when you were going to church and you're like huffing and hangover and all
but
of
that
things.
was now after 2 years, after the drunken stupor. So that's the divorce. And then being angry with God, I don't know, sometimes maybe disappointed, wondering what happened. But now that I'm also older and wiser, I feel like sometimes, let me talk about myself, you can't blame God for a choice that you made. Because you're the one who made the choice. You want to blame him, but you made the choice. You chose this person. but sometimes I feel like we didn't know better. We didn't know what marriage was about. That's one thing that I'm very sure about. We did not know what marriage is about. So for somebody listening, you need to know what marriage is about. Yeah, you need to do a deep dive into what is marriage. You cannot just, it's not fun. It's not fun times. Yeah. It's a serious commitment. And it requires sacrifice. So if you're not ready to sacrifice, there's no point. And love, a lot of people use for their wedding that scripture of love is patient, love is kind.
Yeah.
But I feel like you've never really looked at it, because what is it saying? It's saying love is patient, love is kind.
Yeah.
Love does not remember wrong. So even if I went through, I think, a struggle of why did God do this? Why did he allow it to happen? But then again, I see it's myself, my choices, the things I did, the mistakes I made. I was actually quite shocked to one day when the Holy Spirit said, "And you?" Like, you know how when you're wronged in a relationship, it's always about the other person.
Yeah.
So when he said "and you," I was like, "And me? What about me?
I'm perfect.
Yeah, me. I don't done anything wrong." But when you start looking into a deep dive, even you, what did you do? Because it takes two to tango. That's what they say.
Yeah.
So it can't just be a one-sided story. Is another story. And I think sometimes the tragedy with a one-sided story is that you can sell it to yourself and convince yourself it's the story, and it's not the story.
Yeah.
Oh,
so good. So good.
Thank you.
What would you say what would you say is your best kept secret about your salvation journey?
My best kept secret about my salvation journey? Wow, I actually don't know. What's the best kept secret that people don't know?
People don't know, or it's just that one thing that has been so evident and prominent in your salvation journey for the last 20 years?
Okay, I think prayer. Prayer and intercession. And also a shock in how I found it. So I always tell people, you really need to find your gifts, because I didn't know I could pray at all. At all. And then again, I went for this school of prayer and discovered this gift that is such a gift, and it has given to so many, and I say that with humility, that was something that was very profound, even until today, because it's like, it makes me think, because maybe that's how my brain is wired. Are there other gifts that I have that I don't know? And what happens to everybody? What if I'd never discovered or uncovered this gift? What would have happened? That would have been really, really sad. Yeah, so I think prayer is one. I hope I've answered your question.
You have.
Your question. Yeah. Best kept secret. Yeah.
What would you say to Angie of before Jesus?
It's very easy to waste a lot of time. And time is not a thing that we should waste. We can party, we can have fun because of different seasons, isn't it? You want to go out, you're finding yourself, your identity, you want your freedom. But I would say time is a very precious commodity, and you have to use it wisely, even in your partying zone time. Like, use that time wisely. Because you have a lot of things that you can be doing, getting done. And I think the second thing I'd say is find yourself. Like, who are you? Find yourself. Who are you? Not who the world is calling you, not who everybody has described you as, not who your friends want you to be. And you didn't even ask me for 3, but the third thing I'm telling you, Sharon, relationships. Who your friends are. It will either make you or break you. You have to be so, if I could put it on a billboard, I would say, watch your time, watch your relationships, and find yourself.
Those are great, actually. I love that you've given us 3. That's so great. And I think my biggest takeaway from having this conversation with you is that I keep saying that we don't live in bondage as Christians. I think people have this perception that once you're born again, there's the do's and the don'ts. You can't do this, you can't go here, you can't do that. Obviously, everything with moderation, but we also don't live in bondage. And I think even how other people perceive us from the outside, like maybe people who are not Christians perceive Christians is, oh, you, Pastor Angie, why are you here? Why are you doing this? And I have friends who are pastors, and I've gone to places with them, and my friends are just like, why is he here? I'm like, because why are you here? He's here to like paint and sip with us. Like, you know what I mean? Where is it written that pastors can't come and paint? And
Where?
Yeah, so I think that's even something that also annoys me, because I have people
greatly
in my DMs telling me, oh, why did you go there? Why did you? I'm like, please.
Too many rules. Can I speak into that for a minute?
Yes, please.
Too many rules that people have created for themselves. But the other thing I feel, and maybe it's also Kenyan, where we have put our leaders on pedestals, and all leaders and everyone has to be perfect, but you yourself are not perfect, but you're demanding perfection from them. So that's why me, I've refused that mode. I've seen people talk about me. I've been in places where even other pastors are looking at me, and I can see they're looking at me, but I don't have time. Yeah, I want to be me. That's why the whole idea of identity is me. And then my relationship with God is my relationship with God. But I really want to challenge people to stop putting other people, even if they're not leaders, on a pedestal and expecting perfection. Because what happens then is we pretend a lot. We are one person here and another person maybe behind closed doors. We find ways. I was working once in an establishment, quite an upmarket establishment, hospitality establishment, and there were grown men who we had to hide their alcohol. So like if it's a Coke, pour out half the Coke. Imagine this is what they're making us do. Then put the double shot inside the Coke bottle. Then you look like you're drinking Coke. Like, that's too much work. Just be who you are. I really feel that. And I feel like if we approach it from the angle of you yourself are not perfect, but you're demanding perfection from another person, that already is an error. You cannot demand perfection from anyone. And people can do what they need to do, when they need to do it, how they need to do it, and they will consult their God, and we shall move on.
And I know there's a verse in the Bible that says that especially for leaders, we're supposed to, I think in Timothy somewhere, about holding them accountable or something like that. And as much as I agree with that, I also think that you don't think the Holy Spirit is convicting me and telling me already the things you're coming to tell me?
Yes, He is. The Holy Spirit is already convicting
He's already
you.
convicting me. He's already working on me. So you coming to tell me, oh, Sharon, I don't think you should be going there or doing this. I probably already know, and maybe this is something I'm struggling with, and the Holy Spirit and I are working on it.
Yes.
So
let us work on it.
Let us work on it, yeah. Anyways, let me not get worked up.
Yeah, there's always a balance, because from the Bible there's always two schools of thought. You can take one scripture and you can approach it from two different ways. But yes, we need accountability. We need, I think it talks about finding a leader who's married to one wife and all that. Yes, there is, but what I don't want is for you to put perfection, because I think the perfection then makes the leaders now pretend. Allow people to be. And maybe even pray for them, really pray for them, but understand that the Holy Spirit is convicting them, but let people work things out. And you don't even know the reason. That's the thing. We make many assumptions. You don't know the reason. But also, I don't want to be put in a box. I think that's another thing. When I was going, I can't remember when, but when I was going to ministry, one of the things the Lord told me is, get me out of the box. Like, people have put me in a box. Remove the box. There's no box. There's no box. And one thing may work for one person, it may not work for the other person. But or it may be something God has instructed for one and not for the other. We cannot all be one blanket printed. Look, we're so different.
We are.
Our complexions are different. Our character is different. Our personality is different. Our body sizes are different. I mean, why would we then want to be painted with one brush? Now we all look the same. No. I'm sure even like my hair disturbs people. Okay, too bad. It's my hair. If I want blonde, I put blonde. If I want pink, I put pink. If I want green, I put green. It's my hair. How is it hanging? I always say, like, even, and you said, so I digress, but I was always saying, like, even I'm happy that my body is a bit big. If I had a smaller body, Sharon, hey, you haven't seen. Come and see the clothes I would be putting on, so that they can ask, is that a pastor? Yeah, because is it my outward appearance that is making me do what God has called me to do? I don't know. It's a bit too much.
I think that's the difference with religion and relationship. Because religion is the one that has a lot of rules, a lot of do's and don'ts and whatever. And then when you actually have a relationship with God, you start to unlearn so many things. And I'm personally in that phase where I'm unlearning many things that I was taught growing up about God. And when I'm starting to learn more about him, I realize that he's so different than what he's been painted out to be.
And he's a father. And when I part of the learning was raising my daughter, like when I understood God is a father, and brought the example from my own relationship with my daughter, my goodness, Althea would do something wrong. I'm so upset. She just comes and starts asking me for things, and I'm like, Mom, can I have this? And I'm like, what's wrong with this child? I'm trying to be annoyed. But that's how God is. Where's the place for grace, the place for love, the place for allowing you to learn? You see, I must allow you to learn and to grow and to get where maybe I have gotten before I start judging you on the same level or where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? You have to allow people, and that's what God does. God is a father. He loves, yes. He has a judgment side on him, but the first thing he's going to do is love you. Yeah. And so he's going to approach you with love. He's going to approach you with grace. He's going to approach you with gentleness. He's a great forgiver. I mean, there's just too much. Let's deal with that God, the God who loves. Yes, he can be angry. Yes, he can get annoyed. Yes, all those things are there, because even as a parent, I can. But there's a way that I will, especially being a parent, there's only a certain amount of, if I could say the word, punishment that I would do to my own child. This is my child. Why would I do that? We are his children. Yeah. And then he always says, come, let's reason together. I love that. I think in Isaiah he says, come, let's sit down, let's talk. So let's talk. Let's see let's reason together.
Yeah. I love that. I love that, and I don't want to really add anything on top of what you've said, other than, even as we say these things, I don't want people to take it and use it as an excuse to continue misbehaving or continue to do things that they've been convicted of, or the Holy Spirit is trying to work on. Don't take it as an excuse. God's compassion and grace is just that, but not a blanket that you can use to be like, but God will forgive me. Yes, he will forgive you, but don't take it for granted. That's what I think.
And if we go back to what we said, the relationship, as you grow in relationship with him, then you'll know. You'll know that this is something I need to do, something I don't need to do, because I'm in a relationship with God. What does he like? And he'll show you. And even he says, teach us, and it's a good prayer. I think in Isaiah chapter 2 it says, teach us your ways. He's always saying he's ready. He's ready to teach you. He's ready to help you. He's ready to help you handle that situation.
Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for sharing. I've really enjoyed this episode, even just as what is it called? As a listener, I've enjoyed listening to you and your story. I know there's a lot more you could have said that we didn't get a chance to share. So maybe you're going to come back.
I would be very
tell us
delighted to come back.
if you're going to come back. But thank you so much.
I will come back, definitely. It will be good to see what the comments the people say. Maybe that's what will bring me back. What they have to say and what questions they have. Yes.
So actually, if you do have any questions or comments for Pastor Angie, please leave them in the comment section. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you're listening to us on Spotify, there is an option for you to leave comments on Spotify now. There's a new feature. Actually, it's been there for a little while. So please leave us a comment or a question you have for Pastor Angie, and we will work on having her back in the next season. But thank you so much, guys, for watching or listening. You will see us or hear us in our next episode. Bye.